Tarpley, I would imagine right now, doctor of history, economist, I would imagine right now you're savoring this victory over what you call the Mormon Mafia. How is it feeling right now, Webster? And I'm sure you've had your flu shot this season, and you're probably having a Diet Coke to celebrate it all. Well, Webster, good to have you with us.
That's right, Alex. And I don't live in the fear that the end of the world is going to take place every week. And I generally try not to live in fear. And I don't take counsel of my fears as much as I can. I'm getting
now, hold on. Let's talk about that. What is that open-ended statement? Because I'm just joking around here with you. Can we light you up a little bit? Or are you like Nosferatu and you can't have any light in there?
Hang on.
I'm just going to be mean to Tarpley the entire show now. Because Tarpley, I'm sorry I don't like Marx or Lenin or Engels. But no, I know you don't like...
join the John Birch Society or what?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah, they're really evil. Hey, listen, you look great. Let's just stop for a minute. And I want to apologize for not being nice to you. You are the star of Leprechaun 5. You did the voice. Can you please give us, as a celebratory note, Lep in the Hood up to no good?
I'll give it to you at the end if you let me.
No. I must have payment up front. Now, we've done enough deals together that I can receive payment up front, not at the end. May I please have my payment?
What do I get in return?
We have the YouTube clip we can play right now. Can we please have a live Tarpley?
I'm asking you, if I do what you want, what do I get in return?
I will only interrupt you half as much as I'm planning.
And how long do we go on here? Just a joke.
As long as you want, oh, great leader.
Fine. So what do you want to hear?
I want to hear a police quote Leprechaun 5.
You want me gold?
Yeah, I want to see the power right now.
Me gold! Ron Paul's campaign motto. And his campaign song is, Lep in the Hood out to do no good. Lep in the Hood out to do no good.
Words to live by. You did not do that with 1/10 of your gravitas that night we were sharing and imbibing in vino.
Right. Next time, provide the drinks.
Tarpley, let's just start over. You were prescient, okay, in the Obama deception, and everything you talked about in the film and our other guests talked about came true, just in triplicate. But then you would get angry at me like I was supporting Romney because I was simply hoping people would throw Obama out as a symbol of saying we don't give big government and the banksters a mandate. I know Romney was bad. I'm tired of Obama's left cover for torture, wars, Libya, Syria, warrantless wiretapping the left in a catatonic state. And you're like, no, blah, 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 it's bad. So, I mean, I respect...
Let me just tell you what should happen now. The time now is to fight Obama on the terrain of austerity. And this means Obama wants to impose genocidal austerity during the lame duck session with this grand bargain.
But I thought he was going to save me. First explain why Obama's loins give us Valhalla.
Let's get to the heart of the matter here. The whole point was I had a whole meeting in New York City 10 days ago of the United Front Against Austerity. And that is against Romney and against Obama. We're ready to fight whoever wins the election. Looks like Obama won the election. Now we've got to fight Obama. This poses special problems. But the main thing is the economic...
Why did you like Obama over Lord Romney?
Let me just finish. We want the economic rights of the American people, and Obama will be coming after them with an attempted grand bargain sometime during November, December. So we want to fight. We want to fight Obama to a standstill, and we want to defeat this planned austerity. Now, the problem for people in the libertarian world is that they think austerity is a great thing, and that they're going to criticize Obama that he doesn't have enough genocidal austerity in the program, right? He's not, he doesn't have as many killer cuts in the program as Ron Paul, right? A lot of these people wanted to completely abolish Social Security. Remember the difference between Romney and Obama. Obama is the death of 1,000 cuts. Romney is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you're a bloody pulp within just a few minutes. So it is different, but it's also harder to defend against, because with Romney, we would have had an immediate large-scale vocal opposition, right? A hedge fund hyena, a vulture capital.
That's right. Let me add this point here, because I want to have a real discussion here, Tarpley. Listen, the establishment wanted Obama on almost every front because he can sell the fraud better.
No, I don't think so, because in order to do that, you'd have to say, what about the warm welcome that Romney got at the Bilderberger Group? What about the fact that Wall Street money went to Romney over Obama?
Do you know he was really there? I never saw proof of that.
Yes, well, you know, it's as proven as anything else in such a meeting, that Wall Street gave more money, if you count the PACs, the super PACs, and the Romney campaign, he had more money. And the Federal Reserve, did the Federal Reserve lift a finger to get Obama reelected? I don't think so. You get QE3 about 30, 40 days before the election, whatever it was, 2 months at the most. And that's not time enough to get the uptick that would have allowed Obama to cruise more effectively. So I don't see any evidence that the ruling class wanted Obama.
Yeah, but it's all rearranging deck chairs. Where do you see it going now?
Not. Here's the difference. I'll tell you what the difference is. It's a very important difference. With Romney, the Republican Party is demographically doomed in the sense that it's the party of reactionary white men who are bigots and who are anti-foreigner. And
don't forget, don't want to turn their guns in.
I don't care about
we'll get their guns, those white bastards. Yeah, those white filth.
Whatever their hobby is. I don't care about their hobbies. This is who they are.
Oh, hold on, Tarpley. The hobby of wanting to have guns when every other culture has been disarmed to be slaves.
I don't care about this issue one way or another. It's extraneous.
Your Supreme Soviet will rise once the enemy has been disarmed. Yes.
And the John Birch Society on the other side, because that's their
hey, listen. Obama says he wants to ban handguns and rifles. Every tyranny wants the guns. Tarpley, why don't you endorse the Second Amendment? You claim you endorse the American. Put him on hold. You claim that you endorse the American system, Tarpley. I want to hear you endorse the right to keep and bear arms.
Sure. Whatever the state decides, right? Some places don't want it. So
whatever the state, you mean the sub-state?
The state, right? New York City doesn't want it. Massachusetts doesn't want it. I don't care about this. This is a wedge issue, okay? The more we focus on this, the bigger dupes and cretins we are. Here's what the plan was with Romney. Since the Republican Party is doomed to dwindle as this racist, anti-foreigner, reactionary thing, and with a candidate is a hedge fund hyena and an asset stripper, they figured if they could seize the White House now, what could they do? If Romney had won, he probably would have won the Senate and the House. Then they would have been able to pack the Supreme Court with fascist judges. They've got Citizens United. They can use money to win elections, although it's not as effective as they thought. They would have busted every union, smashed all opposition, and then they would have begun to restrict the franchise. They'd say the Voting Rights Act of 1964 is no good and it has to go. So you'd get southern states and many other states would be reducing the possibilities of people to vote, using voter ID, using harassment, intimidation, the stuff we saw today. It's really interesting. The Republicans tried to take away the right to vote, and people got angry. People never value something as much as when they think somebody wants to take it away from them. So that would have been the Karl Rove 40-year austerity dictatorship plus wars, because around Romney, you had the nastiest, most aggressive, angry neocons, right? Bolton, Kagan, Dan Senior, Robert Joseph, Dov Zakhem. The whole neocon crew thought they were going to make a comeback with Romney. So thank God we have avoided that. Those problems we don't have. And that would have been harder in many ways.
Thank God for Obama, yeah.
State. That would have been a police state. I'm amazed that you can't see that that's the actual danger of dictatorship. What's going on in Michigan, right? If they can take over Benton Harbor, and we're still waiting for those Michigan ballot questions, if the fascist governor of Michigan can put a little Hitler in Benton Harbor and Flint and Pontiac, then they can do it to states, they can do it to the whole country. That's called creeping fascism. Looks like we have some respite on
Webster,
that.
You don't even get it. I don't like Mitt Romney either. I made a film with you exposing Obama as a globalist puppet. They were both puppets. The agenda moves forward. Hold on a minute. Let me talk. Because you're acting like there's some massive difference here, and everybody's running around celebrating Obama.
There is a significant difference, and it's the permanent austerity dictatorship of people like Romney, Scalia, These reactionary swine, frankly, right? That's who it would have been. And they would have tried to have an authoritarian dictatorship.
But Obamacare isn't even some type of free deal or welfare program, general welfare. It's written by insurance companies to bring in eugenics care.
Fine, but let's get inside that and fight. The problem with you guys is you're always on the outside, right? And you don't want to touch anything. If you want to have a reform agenda, have a reform agenda. What should happen? It's like we're always left with the idea that radical evil has taken over the universe and there's nothing we can do. Well, there's plenty we can do. Get out there and fight. And the demands are simple. You want to organize students, a student loan amnesty. You want to organize middle-class people in the suburbs, a freeze on all foreclosures. Foreclosures stop on primary residences. Jobless benefits are open-ended. Food stamps are open-ended, and so forth, right, to preserve our labor power. And then we seize the Federal Reserve. You seize control of the Federal Reserve, and you start putting out these slices of $1 trillion each, of 0%, 100-year credit. That's
sure. If we're going to give the bankers 40-something trillion, we can give people free credit. Listen, I agree with all that. Webster, and I get the U.S. bank type deal back to the government. I get all that. Separately, I really respect your view because this is where you're really accurate. What's coming? What do you see our new Lord and Savior Obama doing now?
He will now try for an austerity package. He'll try to make it, he'll try to have you, instead of being able to retire at 66 or 67 with Social Security, he'll try to push that to 70 to 72. The reactionary Republicans will say, no, 75, 80, 85. Then he'll also try to tamper with the Social Security mechanism so that inflation is understated, so that the actual Social Security benefit dwindles. We know that the Republicans want to attack food stamps. This is the ag bill, right? The farm bill that has not been passed yet. Very important bill. The farm bill contains the food stamp provisions. The Republicans want to cut it by, I don't know what, a half, a third. Obama wants to cut it by 10 or 15.
Well, Webster, let's talk about this. Listen, I get the states taking care of people. I get churches in the states helping people that are hungry. But, I mean, come on. Is it good that food stamps have roughly doubled in 5 years?
It's damn good that they're there, because otherwise all those people would die. And that's the choice. Bush brought on the crash. Bush created the Depression. Of course, Clinton set the stage. That's also clear. But by the time you get to 2007, 2008, you're in a collapsing bubble. There's a world derivatives panic, a world banking panic.
No, I got it. They'll be on the streets. They'll be robbing. They'll be starving. No, I was about to say the globalists engineered it, so you got to take care of them. But, I mean, where does it go from there? It just gets worse.
No, because you can organize a recovery. We know how to do it. Lend-Lease organized a recovery. We can actually even do better than Lend-Lease. You can have a recovery anytime you want it. All you've got to do is get on the phone with Helicopter Ben and tell him we want those $1 trillion tranches. Here's what you do.
Let me ask this. Why do the globalist bankers, the oligarchs, not want
how to get a recovery?
Yeah, to capitalize.
The way to get a recovery is you have a mass movement that says to Bernanke, here's what you're going to do. We're the mass movement. We're surrounding the Federal Reserve. You're going to start putting out $1 trillion slices of credit because we want infrastructure in the states, right? The states, the governors of states, the legislatures of states, and lots of contractors, lots and lots of small and medium capitalist enterprises will benefit from this stuff. We got to build the New York to Los Angeles super-duper maglev. You got to rebuild the interstate highway system.
Sure, well, listen, we've talked about this plan 20 times in the year.
But we haven't done it. You got to propaganda. You don't just say it once. You keep hammering until it happens.
No, I know, but they're not going in that direction. It's all.
How about us? We're always so worried about what the enemy is doing. Let's see what we're doing.
Well, in my book, Webster, people don't know about the globalist. I mean, you know. All right. I mean, I still haven't won that war yet. We have to expose the big picture. That's why even debating Obama, Romney, and, you know, all this perseverating over Mormon mafias. I mean, look where we are now. We've now got the Obama mafia. If it was Mitt Romney, I'd be saying prepare to face him. I mean, do you see any way that Obama is not going to be the president now, right now? I mean, what's he got, guys? Let's put that up on screen, the numbers we've got. I mean, you've got 303 electoral votes. to 203 with Romney. That is a gigantic, whopping landslide. Webster, have you ever seen a landslide like this?
A landslide is like, 60% to 40%. Landslide is what Johnson did to Goldwater. That's not a landslide, and it's not really a mandate for anything. Obama is guaranteed to come out and say, now I can finally make a deal with these fascists in the Tea Party and give them part of what they want. And it'll be some tiny little tax increase for the super rich, which will practically not disturb their luxuries and their excesses, but it'll cut deeply into the needs, right? The actual necessities of the poor. That's the kind of thing that Obama has in mind, because Obama's a Wall Street puppet. But there are Wall Street puppets and Wall Street puppets. And again, the death of 1,000 cuts gives you a chance to fight back. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Romney, I'm afraid, not so good. So there is a difference, and I think the situation is actually now somewhat better that we got rid of Romney. Also, think of the degradation of the American people. If the American people had been willing to accept a hedge fund hyena, a Wall Street asset stripper, a vulture capitalist, a guy with Wall Street...
Instead of a puppet of those people, yeah.
Right? How degraded would that be? Now, Obama is also, in many ways, a spent force, right? Obama is, you saw him in the first debate, right? He's exhausted. He's tired. A new administration comes in with tremendous criminal energy. And you would have had the neocons coming in saying, we've got to vindicate our neocon faction because Bush left under a cloud, and we're going to have a new aggressive war to rehabilitate ourselves for the last aggressive war in Iraq that didn't go so well. So that would have been them. And then you would have had this Mormon mafia, right? You would have had Mike Leavitt and the rest of these people. You would have had a guaranteed Mormon on the Supreme Court, meaning a raving reactionary, somebody like Senator Mike Lee of Utah, who says the child labor laws are unconstitutional. I mean, the guy's from the Middle Ages, right?
Hey, Webster, are you for the Labor Department shutting down people on farms learning how to work? Because I did that. It was really good for me.
Don't bring in red herrings. The point is there has to be the right to organize and have a union, okay? And the reason the labor movement is distorted is because it's so weak. And
what does that have to do with child labor laws?
Child labor laws are obviously, they're legal and they're constitutional. And the Senator Lee of Utah, is completely unacceptable. And in fact, one of the interesting things.
Should I be able to have my 8-year-old carry trash out?
I don't know.
So I shouldn't tell my 8-year-old on Saturday morning, take this trash outside.
Where do you get these talking points, Alex? Where do you get
No, these aren't talking points. They're trying to say
this sounds like
the state wants to take over kids, and I'm asking you, is it a good idea to have the Department of Labor, the Department of Agriculture come out and say children cannot work on their parents' farms?
I do think this is the main problem. Obviously, this is a distortion, and this should not happen.
No, I read the thing. I worked on a farm.
In this country, we have 7% of labor in the private sector unionized. That's just crazy. It's just crazy. You've lost the big picture if you think that's the main thing that's happening now, because that's not it. That's somebody's talking point.
Should the Easter Bunny have to be unionized?
Koch brothers. How about them? Is that where it comes from? I don't know.
And then there's the ridiculous implication that I am getting information from the Koch brothers.
Well, I don't know where you get this stuff. If you think that's reality, it's not reality.
No, I read the Labor Department regulation earlier in the year, and it was going to ban any type of farm chores for children.
Here's what's just happened in the United States. In Wisconsin, the union movement was partially smashed. In Indiana, it was totally smashed by the fascist Republican Mitch Daniels. In Ohio, Kasich tried to smash it, and he was defeated in a referendum. And in Michigan tonight, the big story tonight in Michigan is statewide proposal A and B. A is no more emergency management law, no to that. And B is you do have a right to collective bargaining. Let me ask you, Alex, do we have a right to collective bargaining? Do we?
Oh, absolutely. I think people have a right to organize together in free association.
And I think that's the big picture, right? This other stuff,
Well, Webster, when you start foaming, I'm going to be honest with you because I'm friendly towards you, but you've been in a really aggressive mode the last year or so. I mean, come on. I did read the Labor Department deal. The federal government doesn't want you to be able to spank your kids. I mean, give me a break. Michelle Obama's saying what we can eat now. And I mean, look, I'm tired of it. I like your plan.
Michelle Obama has no power to dictate what you eat.
I know, but she's like the figurehead for the new government regulations. But listen, what I do like is free credit to the states. I do like the idea if you're going to have big work projects to really have them be disseminated to small businesses. I have the National Small Business Association guy, what is his name, Lloyd Chapman, on all the time. So I mean, I get that if we're going to be in a government system, it should be disseminating it down to the real producers and the grassroots. I mean, I get all this in the models that are available. I get there's no real free market in the globalist, collectivist, corporate fascist model. My issue is that you look at the Democratic Party. They're just telling me how beautiful abortion is all day and how horrible ugly the family is and how great GMO is all day. So I'm not really into that group of people, just like I'm not into the Republicans.
The decisive issue right now, the life and death kitchen table issue with mass traction is economic survival of the middle class and above all of the 50 million who have no job, they have no welfare, they have no unemployment benefits, they have no health care. They're living on food stamps. And we had a candidate, Ron Paul, who said cut food stamps by 63%. And that is just disgraceful. That's anti-American. It's an abomination in the eyes of God and man to want to do that to people that are reduced by damn Wall Street in a depression. Let's kick them while they're down. Let's take away their food stamps. In other words, there's a moral framework of reference that's got to be reestablished. I have to say, I'm very sorry. The people who supported Ron Paul have been dragged into I don't know what, and they've never really been able to bounce back. And part of it is this idea that Romney is somehow benign. Romney is the face of Wall Street.
No, we don't. Listen, people don't think it's benign. Listen, Webster, to be fair intellectually, there's the argument that collectivism has developed some of the biggest nightmares we've seen.
Yeah, but where do we see collectivism? Where's collectivism? Who represents collectivism?
The Soviets.
Yeah, I know, but this is all long gone.
Mao, Nazis.
In the United States today, where is it?
And all I know is a bunch of government bureaucrats deciding who eats and who dies is not a good idea. But
let me put it the other, since you brought up the Nazis. Look, if you look at Romney and that permanent dictatorship that I talked about, if you look at Hitler and Mussolini, the common thing with Hitler and Mussolini is once they have power, they destroy all unions and they impose an austerity of about 40 to 50 to 60%. Now, you look at large parts of the Republican Party want to do that, right? They want to destroy the unions, and they want, I would say Romney was offering about 30% austerity for starters. The other thing in the United States is if you are a racist, if you're anti-foreigner and all the rest of this, then you begin to have a race theory. And with that, and then if you try to take
hey, Webster, how about Hispanic American kids can't wear American flags in San Francisco?
What is this? These are cultural populist wedge issues.
No. You're giving me the romantic divide and conquer, liberation theology, Ford Foundation about people that don't want to get rid of their sovereignty when the UN and the globalists want to get rid of borders, not to empower people coming in, but to use them as political weapons to bring in what the bankers fund is a fake collectivism. But let's just stop there. I don't want to argue with you tonight. Let me pose a few questions here. We're coming to the end here and give you the floor to talk about them. I really want to get your take on where you see the world financial meltdown going versus where you'd like it to go. Because I think you're a good guy. I don't think you're a bad guy. I want your perspective. That's why you're here. Let's just stop fighting. Hold on. I want your take on that. And then Benghazi, because you know, you and Pachinik got on here, and both of you in the same day, you didn't know you were on together, but you were on together, said that this was a neocon coup to make Obama look bad. And I was like, okay, maybe that's
Mormon Mafia coup.
Well, Mormon Mafia, of course. And I said, okay, maybe that's true. Now they admit that Obama, for 5 to 7 hours, knew they had feeds of all this and stood down. So how does the Mormon Mafia, operating from Kolob or whatever, how do they make up there? How do they make Obama have all that stand down? And then why did Obama play into all of it?
I don't know exactly what you're referring to, that Obama has been proven to know something, and what's the documentation on that. Here's what I know, is that Fox News reported, 10, 12 days ago, that the CIA command structure itself told those CIA guys to stand down. So we've got 12 CIA at this annex. They're special forces. They could make a military difference. The guy attacking is Kumu. He's a CIA asset. The other CIA asset is the 17th of February Martyrs Brigade. They don't do anything. So it comes down to these CIA people, and they get a formal order to stand down. And that comes from the CIA command structure. Now, look, unless you want to join Lyndon LaRouche out there in, what can I say, the Amen Corner for Langley, the people who are responsible, Hillary Clinton is responsible for the State Department. She has ministerial responsibility for what goes on in the State Department. This consulate seems more and more to represent a CIA post. In this case, the guy that you haven't heard of, General David Petraeus, becomes the obvious person who needs to resign. Either one or the other. It's either Petraeus or Hillary or both or a mixture of the two. Yes, both should resign. But I don't see how you get this to the White House in the sense that there's some huge conspiracy. I saw there was a press conference here at the press club on Friday, and one of these characters was saying, "Oh, Obama's got impeachable crimes." They could not cite an impeachable crime except the bombing of Libya, and that took place last year. So I just don't see that. What I see is the CIA Mormon Mafia doing what it could to get Romney elected. Now, getting Romney elected is not easy because he's probably the worst candidate we've seen in many, many cycles, right? He's rich. He's got horses. He's got this wife. He's out of touch, right? He's so rich. It's like he lives on Kolob, right? With $250 million in the bank. It's just been found, by the way, that he was scamming through the Netherlands. It's called the double Irish with a Dutch sandwich. So you invest in Ireland, and then you recycle the money through Holland twice. And Romney was doing that. So he's got every tax scam in the book, and this is why he wouldn't reveal his tax return. So I don't see how you get from all of this to Obama. This is directed against Obama. Now, you might say, why doesn't Obama come out and say this is the CIA Mormon Mafia? Well, because he's a coward, because he's a puppet, because he's Obama, all the things we know. Now, you were asking about the perspective for the world financial system. Now, here's the other thing that people have got to understand. The banking community can always keep a bubble going, and they can always prop up zombie banks as long as they can impose the austerity they want. Because when they take that austerity, that's like taking the real economy and people's standards of living, their very lives, their very body, and squeeze it like a lemon. And what comes out can be used to prop up the system. So you have to say, as long as austerity is not broken, there is a very significant capability of the ruling class to keep these derivative structures and other fictitious capital structures going. So you have to look at both sides of that equation. There's a class struggle element. If the bankers are winning, if they're smashing labor, they're wiping out unions, lowering wages, cutting social services, all the things they've been doing in Greece and Spain and Britain and elsewhere. That's what they want to bring here. And if they can do that, they can go on for a while longer. Ultimately, the logic leads to concentration camp economics. But, of course, we have that too. We have the prison industrial complex. We've got all kinds of people, especially black, Hispanic, poor, Appalachian, whatever, all in jail, and they're getting put through the meat grinder of the prison industrial complex. But the main thing is there are no financial deadlines except the ones that are imposed by a mass movement, putting a stop to the primitive accumulation and the looting. So obviously, we're always skating along the brink of a financial collapse, but I wouldn't look at that so much. And again, I think this is really important. The thing that should concern us are the 30 million plus unemployed in this country, 40 million plus in Europe, similarly around the world. That's the depression. And the only way to deal with that is to get out of the depression. And this requires real economic remedies, right? It requires the closing of the zombie banks, the cancellation of most derivatives, right? Most derivatives should be shredded, deleted. The derivatives should be outlawed, many of them, the collateralized debt obligations, the credit default swaps, various energy derivatives. That's what's driving up the price of gasoline. So that's all there. But the main thing is get control of the Federal Reserve, right? We can say nationalize it, seize it, deprivatize it, because it's already been privatized. Get it back out of the control of the clique of bankers and put it out in the sunlight. And this can be done, again, right now. It can be done by a mass movement. In other words, if you don't like what you're getting, get out there and say, the Federal Reserve... Okay,
that said, what do you expect now to really, come out of this? We've talked about what they're planning. What about geopolitically?
This is my perspective. It goes like this. Now that we have the Republican Party defeated, and it's an unbelievable zoo, the Republican Party. I mean, you look at these people. This was absolutely off the wall, right? We had Murdoch the Morlock. We had Aiken, right? These people, they're out of some kind of a horror comic book. This has now been defeated for the moment. I expect that the Republicans will now tie each other up in knots for quite a while. They'll say, you weren't fascist enough. You should have been more anti-immigrant, or you weren't racist enough. Let them do that. Some of them are already saying that they needed a real Tea Party presidential candidate, right? A real lunatic, right, as presidential candidate. Then they do better. Great.
Hey, Webster, that's all MSNBC does is push race stuff all day.
Yeah, but come on. Look, the whole voting pattern, the voter suppression, right? You should be concerned about this. They're trying to take the right to vote away from who? Black, Hispanic, old, young, and poor.
Really? But what's the proof of that?
Did you see the lines in Ohio? Did you see the lines in Florida? They
had lines in like wealthy areas of Austin today.
They really? Anyway, again, it's all a matter of.
Do they really? Okay, I'll just count whatever you say.
Yeah, come on. To argue that it's typical of rich areas to have long lines, I think is simply flying in the face of reality. Anyway, what's going to happen with the Democrats now? This is the interesting part. What I hope will happen with the Democrats is that they'll split into two parts. One is the Wall Street Democrats with Obama and with Schumer and with Durbin and with so many of them, right? You know who, Pelosi and her husband. But on the other side now, we got the beginning of some kind of populist ferment. Something's happening, right? Elizabeth Warren, as I call her, Miss Prim, she still succeeded in winning the Senate. This was the most outspoken anti-Wall Street candidate. So that's something. Then we got Sherrod Brown in Ohio, populist, blue-collar, pro-union. Marcy Kaptur in Ohio, DeFazio, bunch of others. That could be a split, or at least a faction of the Democratic Party that would split from Obama, especially now, because Obama will come with the grand bargain, killer austerity against the American people.
I get all that to pay the bankers money, but Webster, the unions, where there are good ideas, a counterbalance against the robber barons, 100 years ago, it could be a good idea today. There are a bunch of globalists arguing to ship jobs overseas and take my guns.
Well, why don't we?
No, I see what they put out. You laugh, and that's what they do.
I'm afraid it gets us away from reality. I would say the main thing is you want to promote fighting among these groups. In other words, as you know, I subscribe to Machiavelli's discourses.
No. I agree. We want gridlock. We
want gridlock. We want divided government. If we had had Romney tonight, we probably would have had a Republican Senate and a Republican House, and that would be back to Bush #1.
Sure. By the way, you're not saying this is a landslide, right? I mean, Obama has exactly 1/3 more than Romney. It is 60-40 right now.
That's the Electoral College is designed to magnify a very small lead in the popular vote and make that look impressive. It's one of the stabilizing features of the Electoral College, but it's also an optical illusion, right? Because if you go back and figure, right, how many, if you transferred how many votes, right, 100,000, 200,000, probably the real margin for Romney is certainly less than 500,000 votes out of quite a few votes. So, and of course, we'd also have to see the turnout. They say the turnout is higher, but I'd like to see what the turnout
No, I get it magnifies it, but I've seen other elections. This is a big electoral win.
Well, again, look at Bush. Bush, the elder, got something like 425, 435 electoral votes, and even that was hardly a landslide. Landslide is Roosevelt 1936 and Johnson 1964. Anyway, the point of this is the Republican Party, I think, is now going to dwindle. They're going to become more extreme. They're going to do everything wrong. They're going to dwindle. They're going to become a party, regional party in the Deep South, and that will then explode the contradictions of the Democratic Party. And the thing to do is to try to favor this kind of a differentiation between the Obama Wall Street Democrats and try to revive some kind of New Deal Democrat, which I'm doing from the outside, right? Aren't you going to ask me who I voted for, Alex?
We know who you voted for, Lord.
I voted for the Green Party, and I'll tell you why. The Green Party, because of Sherry Hunkala. I don't know anything about the Green Party presidential candidate, but Sherry Hunkala, this is a fighter. Out of all the people on the ballot, was the only one I could tell you is actually a fighter, somebody who's done a public service. She ran last year for sheriff of Philadelphia, and she said, elect me sheriff of Philadelphia. Foreclosures will stop because I won't carry them out. Now, there's a fighter. That's the spirit we need. Make those Wall Street bums pay for the depression they caused. Let them eat the losses on these foreclosures, but American people stay in their house because you have a right to a house and a right to health care, right? We have a whole series of rights in Franklin D. Roosevelt's Economic Bill of Rights, and we want our rights. And I think, again, the chances of that are somewhat better tonight.
I mean, here's the problem. Soviet Russia, North Korea, I mean, all these places, it creates hell on earth when you get a bunch of people together saying, give us our piece of the pie. I mean, what we need...
that's the Republican Party. That's Jack Abramoff, Grover Norquist, and the rest of them say, we want our piece of the pie. And Rand Paul is in there, too. He wants his piece of the pie.
No, I understand all that. So, Tarpley, you really believe government in a big state is going to deliver?
I believe mass movement is necessary. I say nothing works without a mass movement. And it's got to be a populist mass movement. Anti-Wall Street, anti-Federal Reserve, anti-party, to be sure. But we need a mass movement. The only conceivable way to get a mass movement is on the economic issues that I've said.
All right, listen, we've gone for 45 minutes. We're almost out of time, and I promise to go to Noel, Nick, Lewis, and Lester to close this out and to get a final report from Jakari Jackson. Is Jakari still over there waiting for us to go to him? Let's go to a quick break with some latest election numbers from Jakari Jackson for about 5 minutes, Webster. You can cool your heels there for a minute. I want to come back and really get your view on geopolitically where things are going versus the utopias that we were discussing. And I understand.
I'm talking practical reform.
I know survival. Yeah, no, I got it. I got it. But I mean, I want to get your view on the geopolitical front. So stay with us. Will you stay with us 5 minutes while we go to Jakari Jackson?
Sure.
Okay. And we'll get Jakari's quick final update here on some of the numbers coming in. Victorious leader Obama, he actually runs things. He actually writes the legislation. He actually fought the NDAA and is against lobbyists and closed Gitmo and ended all the wars and is a peace man of peace. Jakari Jackson, I'm sorry, Tarpley, you had something to say?
I said, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. I'm for the United Front against austerity.
United Front. We're gonna go back to you in a minute, but Tarpley, let's go to Jakari Jackson. Jakari, take us now back to the illustrious, the grand poobah himself from Clandathu. He joins us, Webster Griffin Tarpley. All right, Webster.
Alex, could I just ask your people there? Texas went for Romney, as far as I know. Did you ask any leading questions about Romney? Did they have anything positive about Romney?
Melissa?
The best I could get out of anybody who supported Romney was that he was for less government, but they couldn't explain to me exactly how that was.
No, Webster was implying that we were being partisan. He doesn't understand we're in Austin, and that there weren't a lot of Romney supporters. It was
concerning the bailouts. I think that
the Koch brothers were giving us orders.
You want to bail out auto, but you don't want to bail out banks. I think that makes perfect sense. That's what the guy's trying to say.
No.
Bail out auto, not the bank.
Obama good, Romney bad. Don't get in the way of Tarpley savoring.
What are you talking about?
Now,
Look,
since I have a chance to speak directly to Mr. Tarpley, I just wanted to know if he could do the impression.
No, I'm not. I'm just not embracing Lennon here tonight. Listen, Webster, do we have the YouTube of Webster ready?
Which camera am I supposed to look at?
Hold on, I'm gonna play a clip here real quick before we go back to Webster. We're gonna come back to Jakari and Melissa Melton in the roundtable here in just a moment. Here tonight, I've been on the air more than 10 hours a day, so I'm a little bit dingy. And I'm quite intimidated, actually, just looking at Tarpley. I feel like I'm in a James Bond movie right now. Like going, hello, Scepter 12. We're preparing to energize the moonbeam. And then Webster says, yes. Look at him right there. Anyways, it's ridiculous. That's the fun part about doing this show. I get to know all these funny, interesting people. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on, Tarpley. Hold on, Tarpley. Oh, my God. Here is Tarpley. Here we go.
A friend with weed is a friend indeed, but a friend with gold is the best, I'm told. Ron Paul's program in synthesis.
So he's a devil weed dealer.
Well, draw your own conclusions. If the shoe fits, wear it.
So when did you watch Leprechaun 5?
Lep in the hood, out to do no good. Yes, words to live by. So watch out for somebody who is promising gold.
Webster, tell us how you learned Leprechaun's secret powers.
Actually, I wrote the script.
You wrote the script. Hold on, guys. We're doing a deep interview.
I love the Italian guy that's with him, the Italian government official goes, he wrote the script. By the way, people thought I was drunk there. I had like 2 glasses of wine, but that wasn't. I've been bullhorning like 8 hours at Bilderberg. But Tarpley, wait, oh illustrious one. I'm going to give you the floor here to describe to us how you wrote Leprechaun 5. Now, seriously, geopolitically, where do you see things going? What do you think about Hillary saying we've got to invade Syria because Al-Qaeda is there? I mean, all these big developments that have happened lately, other stuff rather than the savoring the defeat of Romney.
I think important is in Syria, as far as I can see, the Syrian army has defeated the death squads to a very significant degree. The Syrian rebels, the death squads, they are militarily in very bad shape. I don't see them able to hold parts of cities anymore. I don't see them able to hold parts of the countryside, even in northern Syria, even fairly near the Turkish border. They're reduced now to political assassinations of generals and officials. They can do low to medium grade terrorism pretty much every day. They can do large-scale terrorism with car bombs and things that they've done lately. But the Syrian rebels would appear to be defeated militarily, and I think also they're defeated politically in the sense that the Syrian National Council, supported by the U.S., the French, and others, is a laughingstock. It is so discredited that the U.S. is now in the process of dumping the Syrian National Council. Those people, that was that woman who came to the Bilderberg, right? We saw her through the window of her car there. She was the Syrian National Council. Those people only wanted to live in hotels and you know, jet around the world. The U.S. now, in a day or two, in Qatar, Hillary Clinton is organizing a new meeting of the Syrian puppets, of political puppets, and indeed Al-Qaeda types. There's no other way to put it, or frontmen for Al-Qaeda. And this is supposed to create a new puppet Syrian council under the control of the U.S. And Hillary Clinton is very clear. She says, we want to have the fighting men, the people who are on the ground fighting the Syrian army. They have to be more represented in the Syrian puppet council, right? They'll have a new name for it, I'm sure. So what she's really saying is, we want the Al-Qaeda people, you know, Al-Qaeda under 99 different disguises will make up the vast majority of this council, which is more or less what happened in Libya, right? And you see what happens in Libya. Parenthetically, I'm afraid Ambassador Stevens was there to organize new shipments of Al-Qaeda fighters and perhaps of weapons to Turkey and then into Syria, right? His last conversation was with a Turkish official. It's tragic that the guy got killed, of course, but we shouldn't have any illusions about what he was doing there. One of his colleagues, one of the people that Stevens would have worked closely with, is Ambassador Ford. And Ambassador Ford is the former U.S. ambassador to Syria, was kicked out. He's going to be the dominant person at this meeting in Qatar. And he, of course, is a guy like Stevens, a contact man for these Al-Qaeda people in the death squads, right? He's worked very, very closely with them. You remember that Ford is the disciple of Negroponte, and Negroponte had become associated with this concept of the death squads in Latin America already in the 80s, and Central America, the 80s and 90s. He then went on to bring this concept to Iraq in the past decade, and his primary disciple is Ford. So you can see what they're trying to do. But on the whole, this is a strategy of weakness. In other words, it's a strategy of military defeat, and it's a strategy of political disarray. The only way that some of the death squads have remained in the field is that the CIA has been telling them, keep fighting, because after the U.S. election, we will begin shipping you more weapons, and we'll get another wave, another echelon.
And by the way, we're going to have you continue, Webster. Just interrupt for a moment. The celebrations are reaching rapture point right now with the Obamanoids. We're going to have 4 more years of buying and braying. We wouldn't be making fun of Mitt Romney.
If you had Romney, you'd have a bunch of blue bloods and bloodsuckers and parasites.
Well, I was going to say we'd have fun laughing at them. But, I mean, this is a pretty pathetic crew. I mean, look at this. They're waiting for Obama, their corporate New World Order minion. See, Webster, you're presented with 2 different puppets, and you need to believe within the spectrum that you're somehow engaging in and that one thing is a victory. I understand that I'm ruining, like, the delicious 7th course French cuisine sherbet that is being brought out to you, but, I mean, this is going to be a nightmare. And
I agree.
All I can do is gloat on the patheticness of these people in reflected glory worshiping a New World Order puppet. I mean, I'm sorry. I just have to do it.
What's the percentage in that? The point is, these are two unacceptable candidates, to put it mildly. But there are differences. And just this idea, again, a Wall Street hedge fund hyena in this day and age, right after that crash, that would have been so degrading. I think you can see that.
No, I agree. It's better to have Obama run by the exact same people, just as a lawyer in their front.
Remember, Obama is a candidate. He has outlived his usefulness in many ways. He is a spent force in many ways. And remember, the goal in these elections is not the candidates. You want to fight the ruling class.
No, I got it. Okay, well, then why the ruling class? You disagree. You think the ruling class was for Romney?
Yes, I do. I think the basic thing was Romney says, I'll give you 30% cut in the standard of living. Obama says, I'll give you a 15% cut in the standard of living. But then the difference is with Romney, you immediately have a big blowback, right? A lot of strikes, a lot of ferment, big opposition. I was in many ways tempted by that perspective because that would be a chance to organize, right? And we're not getting any younger. On the other hand, with Obama, it's a more subtle process of betrayal, and the knife goes in not so obviously. But the big thing that Obama offers is that there won't be that much opposition. That's what he's hoping.
Exactly. More fast and furious, going after my guns. I like that. I like that.
There will be such an opposition. I'm going to try to do what I can to create a class-based opposition against austerity and against Obama. It'll be against austerity and therefore against Obama. And I would urge you to look back at that whole Ron Paul experience and search your conscience and look at what Ron Paul actually represented. The fact is, austerity is genocide. We can't have any more austerity. And that's what the ruling class wants.
Hold on, let's fade this up, though.
Say,
hold on, we're hearing a celebration right now. Fade it up for a moment.
What do we care about these people?
Oh, this is incredible celebration. Don't cut it on this moment of democracy, Webster. This is a moment of savor. I mean, you can't savor this with me?
Alex, you're too fixated on this stuff. You got to get a perspective, right? A mass struggle perspective and a programmatic
You know, it's not my fault if I love Obama, Webster, and I wish you wouldn't dash my dreams.
Syriza, right, in Greece. Come on, be serious. Look at Syriza in Greece. That gives
you together different groups for a serious opposition.
That's right. That's what you need to do. But in terms of the war stuff, it's going to be interesting to see now.
Oh, my God, look at that guy with the American flag. I mean, that is the archetypal.
What will happen? Alex, if you're going to be interested in them, we're going to have to say good night, okay?
If I'm not interested in Syriza?
I can't compete with the big demonstration.
I understand. I understand you can't, Webster. We'll just closing comment then, Webster, and we'll let you savor your victory.
Alex, you got to basically pull yourself off that limb where the leprechaun has left many. I would say right now, people should be, not full of fear, but confident now. We know what it is. Obama's going to come with killer austerity, and we're going to fight back. And if you want to be part of humanity, you got to fight back against killer austerity. And you'll be linking up with the European labor movement, people in Greece and Spain and elsewhere. That's what real populism is, right? Populism is not to strip people of their economic rights. Union busting is not populism. This whole libertarian construct has collapsed, and it's discredited. The American people tonight said no to the Tea Party.
No.
The Tea Party had pulled the Republican Party so far in this extremely...
Well, the Tea Party was taken over by the neocons, but let's just stop right there. Webster, I know you're a smart guy, but you like aspartame. I've seen you. You like McDonald's.
What does this have to do with
anything? And you think it's like a proletariat thing that you're with the people taking the flu shot?
Look, what are we? Do we want to be mass leaders, or do we want to be lifestyle freaks and petty bourgeois food faddists?
So you like, it's like a macho thing that you can take the flu shot every year and still walk.
My God, why are we so obsessed with trivia? Too obsessed with trivia.
You think GMO and vaccines is trivia? That's where they're getting us, Webster.
I'm looking at the issues where it's possible to organize a mass-based...
No, Webster, the real revolution is against the injections the eugenicists are hitting us with. How many flu shots have you had, Webster?
Alex, get serious or I got to go off.
I know you got to go. No, you've told me I should get my flu shot in the car. You've proselytized me.
So what?
Oh.
Is that heresy?
I mean, maybe you're a damn Martian and there's like Martian viruses in there. You want me to join your space cult?
All of those things are calculations, right? Everything has a plus and a minus. You know how many people die of the flu each year?
It's more like 2,000. They claim it's 35,000. It's a fraudulent number.
Is it? Well, I don't know. But I don't believe the world is ending next week, and I don't live in fear, and I don't take counsel of my fears. And I think it's a pretty clear perspective.
Well, then why not drink cyanide? Go, I'm not fearing, and just like, how about jump off a 1,000-foot bridge and say, I don't fear? To imply that we know GMO is bad, we know vaccines are bad, we know the New World Order. And I have the White House Science Czar's own book that you did a review of where he says they're going to jack the water supply.
That's right.
You know about...
You better be ready to fight him. But you never saw who Romney had, right? Romney probably had some concentration camp commandant left over from the last days of the war.
I mean, my God, man, your king has won. Obama is now in, and we're not talking about Romney.
Alex, nobody in the world has done more than me to expose Obama. I exposed Obama. I exposed Romney. The one enemy of this ruling class is me. That's my record. And I didn't support any damn Republican all the way through this cycle who is proposing genocide against the American people, because that's where I drew the line. So there it is. My record, I stand on my record. I'm proud of my record.
Did you take your flu shot this year?
Come on, Alex, get serious. Get serious. Have you stopped beating your wife? These are questions that people...
I didn't say in a car with you, you better beat your wife, Tarpley.
What are you talking about?
You've lectured me that Alex, I need to take my government injections because it's proof that I'm part of the...
You are obsessed with trivia. Get the big picture.
You have literally told me I should drink Diet Coke and I should inject Merck Pharmaceuticals.
If you are on the road, you do what you have to do. Alex,
are you...
Let me say good night to you, Alex.
All right, Webster, have a good evening. There he goes, lepping the hood up to no good. So there goes Webster. I mean, look, I like Webster, but he's gotten more wild over the years. I mean, this constant thing about, where did you get that? Did you get that from the Koch brothers? So I'm just, I like Webster, but man, I mean, we're talking about totally, he's a good guy. But it's just like any points, it's just endless condescension.